Okay, so this is another comment from Gad G's. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's not an English word anyway. So it says, "Hi, thank you very much for all your explanations. You are really smart. I'm also a specialist in repairing French automatic transmissions, especially the famous AL4. Recently, I switched from 2.0 EW10A AL4 engine to the 2.2 EW12J4 3FY in bracket. So it's not very difficult as we have the same 6LBP ECU, just with a different software. I changed the drive shafts, the shifter, and worked thoroughly on the electrical part of the gearbox. My question, please, can I put the EW10A back with the ZF 4HP20? The 2.0 is more reliable and its parts are more readily available. Does the ZF 4HP20 bell housing fit the engine? And will the communication between the gearbox and the engine remain correct? Honestly, I haven't touched the engine wiring harness. It's identical. I switched to the ZF4HP20 because it is more reliable than AL4. Um, Let me start with you said you are a specialist on the automatic transmission. Okay. So in that case, you probably understand this automatic transmission better than I do. Like I always say, I'm not an expert on these automatic transmissions. I just have the basic knowledge, especially on the ones on Peugeot vehicles. Um, you said you switched from 2.0, that's EW10A AL4 to the EW12J4, the 3FY. So you didn't state oh, you didn't say whether you switched both the EW12J4 and 4HP20 at the same time. That's together with the engine. But from the look of things, I think that's what you did. That's you took both the 305 version of the EW12J4 engine with the 4HP20 attached on it and swap into the vehicle. Um, so and now remove the EW10A with the AL4 automatic transmission. So you now did the conversion. Yeah, like you mentioned, the 3FY version of EW12J4 and the EW10A, that is the RFJ system, is basically the same. Remember, there was a time I did a video recently where I responded to a question from a 607Z9 user, a phase 2 607 user of EW12J4 3FY version manual that's considering to convert his 3FY to EW10J4, which is RFM. Remember, I don't know if you watched that video. I now advise him against um, the RFM because that will make it much harder. It will be much harder if you probably might not even be that successful if you are going to do that kind of conversion, considering that the wiring systems are completely different. So I remember I recommended instead, if you must be 2.0, then the plug and play conversion will be EW10A. You remove the 3FY 2.2, then put the RFJ 2.0. You don't need to touch the harness. It's just the ECUs, and probably you pair the BSI unit with the EW10A engine ECU. Um, yeah, I remember that was what I recommended. So yeah, they are the same. Even when you look at the engine ECU, it tends to be difficult to even know which one is which. I mean, between EW10A and 3FY EW12J4. The only time you will know it, there's of course there are about two numbers there that will tell you, okay, this is for the 3FY, while this other one is for RFJ. Other than that, same like we said, six LPB, you see, they all look at, in fact, they look identical aside that sticker on it. Um, those smaller numbers. So, okay, so that is it for that. Yeah, as you said, the software is just the only difference between them. And so we talked about how you did this. Okay, so let's get straight to what you are asking for. Um, you said your question is, can you switch? Now, currently your car has 3FY engine. That's EW12 3FY version. So you are considering to swap back the EW10A, the RFJ, but you leave the 4HP20 and put the RFJ instead of putting the EW10A with the AL4 gearbox. So for those who don't know, AL4 is 4-speed automatic transmission you find in most four-cylinder Peugeot cars produced in that era of 47, 46, name them, another Citroen version, models vehicles. 4HP20, you also find it both in V6 and four-cylinder, but mostly with engines that have higher torque than the naturally aspirated four-cylinder engines, like the 2.2, 2.9, and the rest. Okay, so yes, you can do that because it will bolt in, it will bolt on. And what I mean, the bell housing circumference is the same, so you can easily attach it on the EW10A. Yeah, it can. Yes, I don't think there's any going to be any issue. Yeah, much as I know I'm not an expert on automatic transmission, but like I said, um, I mean, you can do that. I know people do that a lot by swapping. Remember, there's 147 that I did a video on that where they did a swap of EW10. The car had a 3FY engine, but they removed the 3FY and put RFN, that's EW10J4, on the same 4HP20. So I had to later remove the the RFN and put back the 3FY. So the RFJ and the RFN, basically, I don't think there's any difference between uh, the both engines where the gearboxes are bolted on. I think they are basically the same. So that shouldn't be a problem. From what I know, looking at just thinking it through, you should just bolt on as long as you maintain the torque converter, obviously, of torque converter of the 4HP20. Now, how will it work? It will just be like the the one I drove the other time. This one I did a video recently, um, which I drove when he had the 2.0 liter engine with the 4HP20. The performance wasn't really that great. Personally, if you ask me, I don't know how to say that. I don't know whether to say that maybe the L4 would have will give the car more performance with the RFN or EW10J4 engine. Or it's possible. It's basically, my point is I didn't really get much. I didn't see much difference in terms of that he improved the performance. That's where I'm coming from. I didn't see any performance improvement with the RFN engine and the 4SP20. Remember, the RFN and RFJ almost similar power. Of course, the RFJ has a little bit more power, but in terms of the output, the difference is not really that much. So, but in terms of how the gearbox was doing, behaving, selecting, upshifting and downshifting, it just basically the normal way 4HP20 was doing. 4HP20, I would say 4HP20 has some advantages over AL4. AL4 most times can be quite annoying. It can upshift sometimes. Most times, I'm not saying from brand new that's how they all behave, but uh, consider that most of the ones I've driven were all used. Almost all the Peugeot cars with AL4 I've driven were basically used ones, used vehicles. So most of them tend to shift annoyingly. Sometimes, not all the time. Um, so, but for HP20, I don't think, aside the ones that probably had problems, the gearbox already started manifesting, showing sign of issues. Yeah, I would say, yeah, the shifting might not be that smooth, but the 4HP20 shifts much smoother than the AL4. That's how I will conclude. So yeah, the gearbox was shifting well with the 2.0 liter engine. I didn't see any issue. Of course, it was still annoying as L4 would be sometimes when you press the throttle down for it to downshift. Maybe um, uh, doing 60 kilometers per hour, and you probably was on gear 4. You downshift for it, you press the throttle down to the floor for it to downshift to gear 3 at that 60 kilometers per hour. It will just maintain that gear 4 and just be dragging until the vehicle speed gradually climbs. So, uh, no, which normally is supposed to downshift, when you press the throttle down. So, yes, yes, experience it with the 2.0 or the RFN or the EW10J4 engine and the 4HP20. So, talk wise, I'm not so sure. Like I said, the performance, I didn't really experience anything uh, better in terms of with the AL4. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention, you know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but nothing really. So, but in your case, you said the reason why you are considering that is, you said because the AL4, you say it's more reliable than 4SP20. In as much as I know you have more knowledge than I do on automatic transmissions, from what I could see, from what you explained, that you are an expert on that, a specialist. Yeah, but I would say I disagree with this statement. But I would say the reality for me uh, doesn't actually. How do I put it? For me, if you ask me, I would say for HP20, as good as it is, it has its own issue as well. By this, I mean the oil pump. The ZF4 HP20 oil pump tends to fail more than other project gearboxes that I've come across. Yeah, I mean, you probably know that by now. Um, AL4, the main issue with AL4 is usually the valve body. The valve body can be very annoying. Once you start, all those solenoid, they start misbehaving, you just start doing all those nonsense. It does. But the 4HP20, I don't think they are known for valve body issue. Not say they won't happen, but that's not what they are known for in terms of weaknesses. But their oil pump is just a weakness of that gearbox. So most people that find issue with the 4HP20 is mostly because of the oil pump failure, not other parts of the components inside the gearbox. And for the transmission ECU also tends to misbehave sometimes. I know most people eventually end up changing their ECUs, transmission ECUs, for the AL4. Anyway, let me not. go that far because, like I say, I'm not the expert. You probably know more, but the point is 4 HP is 20 is good, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have its own weakness. So maybe the only way to prevent the weakness is to be using recommended or good alternative ATF in servicing it. I think you know better than I do in that area. Then something you said I want to comment on. You said um, that you want to put EW10A back and remove the 3FY EW12 because hold on, let me read it again. It said the EW12 is more reliable. It's the EW10A, not EW12. He said the EW10A is more reliable. I think I disagree with that. I don't know how long you've used the EW12J for that 3F, especially that 3FY version. I don't know how long you've used it, but I'll tell you I disagree with that. Um, I'm not saying one is more reliable than the other, but definitely, no, I'm not saying one is more problematic than the other, but definitely not. EWTA is not more reliable than the 3FY EW12J4. My own personal experience is not. What I could say, maybe in terms of availability of parts, maybe in your area, yeah, it could be a factor. I don't know, but here it's not really a problem. In the parts are available here. The only parts you could say for the EW10, EW12J4 could be like the VTC sprocket, which I've talked about many times on videos. Once you start making that noise, some people don't like it. If you are used to diesel engines, you won't really have a problem with that, unless you want it to sound like petrol engine. But it sounds normal, like it sounds like normal diesel engine once that sprocket becomes weak. So I mean, like I said, if you're okay with diesel, the way diesel sounds, why have issue with that sound? So, but if you now want to change it, then it might be a problem to source it, especially if you're after new one. You might not easily get it. Other than that, what other parts are we even looking at? The VVT solenoid of 3FY EW12, it hardly fails. I've never come across anyone its own failed. Um, the ignition coil on EW12J4 engine, I've never come across anyone that its own failed. I'm telling you, how many years have I been in this industry as a technician? I've never come across EW12 engine that had a failed ignition coil. It doesn't mean it has never happened. I just have never come across. And how many came across many of EW12J4 engine. So I'm just telling you, spark plug, it's just normal wear and tear. The spark plug, yeah, I could say the recommended one is no longer easily available, especially in Nigeria. I don't think you can even find it, the OEM. So what we use here, or people use here, is mostly the one for EW10J4, and it worked. How long? Or either EW10J4 spark plug or the ES9A or 9J4 spark plug. That's the V6 spark plugs, and they work. So in that case, I could say, yeah, the spark plug could be a factor. If it must be OEM for you, yeah, it could be a factor. They are not easily available, at least here. I don't know about other parts of the world. What else? Um, the the other thing I don't like on that EW12J4 3FY version is the thermostat housing, which is not only limited on that 3FY engine. The thermostat housing, remember, is that it's not the metal one, it's the, we'll call it over here, plastic thermostat housing. They tend to break sometimes, especially if you had any cost to remove it. Sometimes while putting it back, it could break when you overtalk it, the bolt, or if engine start overheating, most times you just give up from there to break. you start all of a sudden you could notice a leakage from the housing. So what we do here, we use the thermostat housing of EW10J4, is EW7J4 in like in 406, that normal cast one. That's what you do. You just swap it. You use the gasket from for that cast or metal one from the EW10J4 in 406. You remove the housing, take the gasket, swap it in, that's all. Even if the one you are putting has because the 3FY version, it doesn't work with EGR valve. So the thermostat housing that comes with it, you won't have any position for EGR valve there. But that metal or cast thermostat housing will have position or hole for EGR valve. So what you usually do, you blank it. You just blank it there. Sometimes if the EGR valve is there, you can leave it there unconnected, so that just to block that hole. So just put it, and that solve the problem for good. That's what we do. So in that case, not a problem. That's what I'm saying. I don't consider it. In fact, even most time, once I see any car, a client brings a car to me, 3FY version EW12, and he has that thermostat housing, or I even buy a Peugeot vehicle with that engine for any client with that thermostat housing. First thing I recommend to the owner is to change that thermostat housing. Change it immediately. Sometimes I will just not necessarily recommend that. Then this like preventive maintenance, we need to do this. Just like I tell them, we need to change the timing belt immediately after the purchase of the vehicle. So this has to be changed so that we know that for good you have no business there. So what else? I'm trying to, when you talked about parts availability, I'm just trying to point out because I don't really see the parts that will make it that difficult. The map sensor hardly fails. The map sensor on the E3FY EW12J4 is the same in 307 TU5JP4, so it's easily available. Same map sensor. Remember the map sensor has a IAT sensor, that's a idle air temperature sensor, or inlet air temperature sensor. So it's integrated, it's part of the map sensor. So it's the same sensor, and the TU5JP4 is basically everywhere. So it's not a scarce pass or product or commodity. So um, what else? I'm just pointing out the injection system that attach on the engine. The what's it called? The water pump is the same with EW10J4 and EW10A. What else? Um, Basically everything. The only thing you could say that is different is the motorized throttle body. That's the only thing. So maybe that if you could say okay, it's scarce where you stay, or maybe it costs more, or not easily accessible to you. Okay, that's what I would say. Fine, maybe, but for me, it's not like it's a part that fails every now and then. It's something one could order and then change or keep. I never tell if you have EW12J4 engine, irrespective of whether 3FZ or 3FY, get a spare motorized throttle body, that I call it MTB. Get a spare one. The weakness of EW12J4 is that MTB. Of course, the VTC sprocket, variable timing capture sprocket, is there. That noise it produces diesel one, yeah, it's also a weakness. But for me, the major weakness of EW12J4 is the motorized throttle body. That's all. So once you solve that, have it, you can get it and keep. Could last you. Funny enough, the 3FY version of EW12J4, remember it has the MTB is different from the 3FZ MTB. They're not the same. So for my own personal experience, I honestly haven't come across or ever driven or worked on any Peugeot car with 3FY version that have had MTB failure. I've never. I've not come across or somebody complained to me that his or hers failed with that 3FY version of MTB. The all the ones I know that fail, that have even replaced for other people or purchased for other people, is for the 3FZ MTB. Remember, the 3FZ MTB can work on what's it called, on the 3FY EW12. Yeah, the 3FZ MTB can work. The only thing that the the IAT sensor is independent of map sensor on the 3FZ. So the IAT sensor is attached on the MTB. You just leave it there, you will not connect it. So it will, why the 3FY MTB does not have the hole for the IAT sensor, so it stays blocked. So you know what, you can use the 3FZ MTB on the 3FY EW12J4 engine, but you can't use the 3FY MTB on the 3FZ EW12J4 engine because the IAT sensor will not be there to connect. So that's the only thing I could say. The timing belt, timing kit, the timing roller, the timing belt, the timing tensioner is the same with EW10J4, which is common. The auxiliary belt kit is the same also. Even the auxiliary belt, the auxiliary belt tensioner, and the roller is also the same with some EW10J4, like in 407. Even the thermostat housing, that plastic thermostat housing, like I said, we call it plastic. That plastic thermostat housing is not limited to the 3FY EW12J. Some 407 with EW10J4 engine also came with that plastic housing, thermostat housing. Likewise, the auxiliary belt kit, some 407, even 607 facilitated model, the auxiliary belt kit, some came with that, what is it called? The 6PK, the belt size is 6PK 1000. 6PK 1000. So most of them came with that, with the same tensioner and the roller. Unlike the other version that the belt is much longer, that's 6PK 1705. So all this I'm telling you, is you see that it's not like the past kind of unique, that is only EW12 that use them. The ones that I could say that wearable parts that fail more is basically other engines. EW engines also have the same, or shares the same parts, you know. So I don't know. Unless maybe you just like EW10A, but I really don't see. I wouldn't recommend you change it because of that you say it's more reliable. EW10A is more reliable. No, it's not. EW10A, I'm not saying it's a problematic engine, but I don't see any how it's more reliable than 3FY EW12J4. I don't. I, I'm talking as a technician that worked on other people's cars. I've never come across any reason or experience something that made me to agree with you on this. You know, EW10A have its own weakness. Likewise, EW10J4, EW12J4 has its own weakness as well. So it all depends on. But maybe for you over there, the weaknesses of EW12J4 is not something you are comfortable with. Maybe it's difficult for you to deal with such issue over there. But over here, both are the same. I mean, EW10A suffer more limp mode issue than 3FY EW12J4. Remember, the 3FY EW12J4 the vacuum system is much better than the 3FZ vacuum lines. You know those vacuum lines they put behind and in front of the intake manifold for the 3FZ EW12. Unlike the 3FY EW12, where it's only behind the engine. There are two vacuum lines actually. One comes from the intake side of the camshaft, cylinder head, to um, the intake manifold in front of the intake. Is it in front of the? Is it on the MTB? No, not the MTB. I think in front of the intake manifold. Then uh, then behind the engine block, under the manifold, there's another vacuum line that comes from there that goes to behind the cylinder intake manifold. One vacuum line. Then there's another vacuum line that comes from the oil pan to the intake manifold as well behind. But these are just very simple things compared to the 3FZ that, I mean, there are so many plastic vacuum lines that easily breaks. And once they break, getting another one, wow, it becomes a problem. So that's why I prefer the 3FY. So I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm not trying to explain to you that I know that these two systems. So I don't really think the 2.0 or the EW10A is better than 3FY, but it's possible for you in terms of maybe accessibility. Like I said, the part shouldn't be a problem. Because I don't see anything that is so unique on EW12J4 that fails often. You could say I can't find. I don't know what is it actually that you cannot get from other engines. Like I said, even the ignition coil that is different from other engines, which is similar to the EW10A. In fact, sometimes it can be confusing. I haven't really confirmed, but it looks as if it's the same ignition coil. I mean, the EW12J4 and the EW10A. Even if it's different, both can actually be swapped. Correct me if I'm wrong. It could be I have not checked the partner, but because of the design, they all look the same. So I haven't actually given it a good comparison look to know if they are identical. And funny enough, two of them, they don't fail. All the EW10A engines users have come across, at least, or people have not complained of ignition coil failure compared to that of the RFN or EW10J4 ignition coil that fails often. So which other parts of EW12 3FY that I could say are hard to access or get? That's why I'm not. I mean, it's the engine. It's not like you opened up the engine. If your timing belt is intact, everything, you don't touch the engine. You only change the accessory component. So, which other component? I mean, the exhaust manifold has a catalyst inside it for the 3FY EW12J4, and yet it's the same in 3FZ RFJ EW10A. The same design. It's most likely said that maybe what you are using on the 3FZ, 3FY EW12J4 on your vehicle is the same exhaust manifold of your EW10A. I want to believe that's what you did. You swap it because they all have the same design. Even though they might not be identical, but you can hardly tell that they are not the same. Maybe one might be a little bit bigger than the other, but the same button, nothing different, the same design. So I don't see that. So my point is, unless you just want EW10A, probably because it's expected to consume less fuel since it's 2.0, it has lesser power. Um, yeah, in that case, yeah, I would say it makes sense. But then it means you have to also change the ECU because I know EW10A, the camshaft position sensor is on the intake, is the intake camshaft that runs that the sensor monitors. So it's on the side of the intake cylinder head, intake side camshaft, while the 3FY EW12J4, the camshaft position, so that's the reference sensor, is on the exhaust camshaft side. So it will make it difficult to use the RF 3FY ECU to run the RFJ engine, the EW10A engine, because the car will now be half starting because it's no longer reading the timing properly. So if you use the 3FY ECU to run the EW10A engine, you may take about 3 or 4 crank before the engine will start. Yeah, it will have a hard start issue. And this time you scan the car, I'll be telling you your timing is not set properly. So so it means you have to again pair the ECU, put the EW10A ECU once you do that swap. Okay, so I know it's taking too long, this video and the rest, but I, just wanted to, you understand. The reason why I'm going long is like we are communicating, and I'm talking to someone that understands the system. So I'm just like trying to clarify what I know, uh, using it to disagree with what you say concerning the E3FY being less reliable than RFJ engine. That's where I have a problem with. As for the transmission for 4HP20, well, yeah, you are the expert in that field, so I can't really say more, but I do know 4HP20 has its own weakness, which is most times the oil pump. L4 has its own, most times the valve body. Those solenoid attached on the valve body can be very tricky sometimes. Okay, so what it's still your choice to make. I mean, if it's still F1 RFJ that you want, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good engine. Most people here in Nigeria, Nigerians hate that engine. You have no idea. You have no idea how Nigerians hate that RFJ or EW10A engine. They do. Almost every Peugeot car that have been shipped into the country used, even brand new ones, most of them have been converted to either RFN or 6FZ, that's EW7J4. They've converted it. They are so scared of that engine, you know. So if they listen to what you're saying, they will even their the argument will even be that it's even more problematic. I thought you shouldn't even be talking about it. That is more problematic. But to me, no, it's not a problematic engine. It's just like it has abuse. So if you must use that engine, you must use it as recommended, not mess it up. Okay, so that's all I have. All right.